We are going to talk today about making our values with coffee for our skin tones. So we are using instant coffee. So it is going to have the fragrance of coffee in here for a few days. So we're going to be using a little wooden paddle to get our coffee grounds out with. Now all the coffee grounds, we're getting one container out at a time, but you will have these little 2-ounce containers to mix your coffee. So what you want to do is go ahead, scoop 2, let's make that 3. This one's going to be 2, and then we're going to have 1. So we should have 3 values. I'm going to put a little bit more. And then we'll leave 1 if we have to have a really light value. Now, this is a pipette, and this is what you're going to get your water out with. So everybody will need to get a container of water. This is to control your water that you use. The less water, the better. All right. So let me move some of this out of the way. You will need to get a brand new piece of watercolor paper to test out your colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up because this one is going to be our darkest. And obviously it's going to make a paste at first. The less water that we have, the darker it is going to be. You will have to make sure that all of that is mixed together. Don't put this in your water. You always want to make sure that you have clean water. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, just dilute it just a little bit. And yes, you may still have granules in your coffee, and that's fine. So that's pretty dark. This one, we're going to add more water. We're going to mix it up. And the point is, you don't want to add a bunch of coffee and then have to keep on adding water. Okay, and that one's a little bit lighter. And this one should be the lightest. And that one's going to have more water. So it's going to be more diluted. And you don't need a lot with this because you just have a small area to paint. Okay. So, and you are able to work with another person at your table. Now these will have to dry. And you can see that this is pretty wet. And we may have to put a couple extra coats on here. This one's like chocolate. Okay. But let each one of these dry, and then you'll have to come in and put more on. That was still too wet. Now, something else you could do, if you just want to start with the dark, this might be easier, is to get you a paste going. So this is like going to be your darker value. Get your darks done first. Make sure it is the darkest that you can go. So meaning you're going to have to put all your layers on there first, wait for it to dry. And then with the darker layers that you're going to do first, you're probably going to have to go back over it to get your darker. Wait for those to dry. And then when you're ready for the next values, add just a little bit of water to dilute it, and then go back in. So whichever you feel is easier for you. I think this might be the easiest, where you just make one container and you make it into a paste like this. I mean, this is like really, really thick. I'm not sure if you all can see that, but it almost looks like melted chocolate. Good morning. But what you'll need to do is go ahead and practice with this to get an idea about how to use coffee as a paint material. Alrighty, and that's what we're going to be doing on the faces. Okay, so you can add more color to get darker tones. Just like that. But you don't want to paint the whole thing one color. That's not the point. Okay, so make sure that you are using different tones with the coffee to be able to get all that painted. And it is okay if you paint over the Sharpie marker. Hopefully that's what you use, because Sharpie markers are permanent. Okay. But the more values that you add, the better that this is going to look. Okay, and that's what we're going to do.